Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Ansarkari. I am Vikas Bhardwaj and continuing our understanding and also deliberations on democracy. Today we are going to discuss what exactly is democracy? What is democracy? Is it a process or is it a promise? Please do understand. It's an ongoing idea since centuries as we have seen in our previous discussions, and we have also thrown certain light upon what can be different types. Is it an abstract or is it a theory or is it a concept? What actually it is? Now let's continue with certain fundamental ideas. Democracy is not just about voting. It is also about how decisions are made. How decisions are made. More mature is a democracy, more analytical thinking would be there. How decisions are made and why they matter. Why certain decisions matter, why certain outcomes matter. So the two key models that shape democratic governance, because democratic governance is linked with democracy. One is procedural democracy. The word procedural here is focus on rules, processes, and fairness. Okay, three key things: rules, processes, and fairness. Do make a note. Another type is substantive democracy. And that means what exactly happened, what are the outcomes, what is justice and equity. Is everybody getting their real happiness, a real change in their lives? So India's constitution, if I give an example, it guarantees both procedural safeguards, like election is a procedural safeguard, and its substantive goal is also there, that is of social justice, last mile connectivity, food for all. But then, if you think about India, which one dominates our reality in India? Please give your answer. Similarly, I want to ask you again a question: is India truly democratic? If elections are fair, but why then inequality persists in India? So what answer would you give? Try to write in 150 words and submit. Similarly, procedural democracy, when we say, then it is seen as the machinery of fairness. Because in no circumstances procedures would be bypassed. They will not be short circuited. They will be completely adhered to. That is why procedural democracy, it emphasizes free and fair elections. That is one point. Rule of law and constitutionalism. Constitutionalism, very important word. That means the philosophy, the idea, and also the thought process behind constitution. Every idea which is emanating from the constitution, the moral basis of constitution, the ethical and also analytical basis of constitution, they all form part of constitutionalism. It's a very, very broad term, constitutionalism. So protection of individual rights, transparency and accountability, and finally peaceful conflict resolution under the constitutional norms. These 5 points form the part of procedural democracy. So the Election Commission of India, it definitely ensures procedural integrity if you go and check out, but is it guaranteeing justice also? Can you comment on this? Can you justify this? Then only we can understand that our concept is actually getting stronger. My question to you is, can democracy be procedurally perfect and yet socially unjust? Read the question carefully and write answer in context of Indian democracy. Elections, which are the cornerstone of procedural democracy, as we just said, because fair elections are there and they will allow citizens to choose leaders transparently, ensure equal opportunity for candidates. They will also promote peaceful transfer of power, because unlike US, when we say there's a fraud in elections, in India we never find that. India had been amazing, deeply rooted, and also an amazing positive behavior is reflected among the masses when it comes to elections and when it comes to have a strong belief in our constitution. And it also reflects public will in governance. Okay. Unlike Pakistan, unlike many other countries, here people want to have a peaceful rule. People never allow any leader to get into their head. They throw away that government and another party comes into power. Think about Delhi elections recently and you will get the idea. So India's Lok Sabha elections are the largest democratic exercise globally. Yet voter turnout varies widely. I'm not saying that they are less or more, but varies widely. Give me an answer why. And the question to you is, if 40% of voters don't vote, is the majority truly representative? How you will justify this? and then your concept will become stronger. Similarly, rule of law and constitutionalism, as I just said, they are the guard rails. Note down this keyword, guard rails. ये रेलिंग है, ये एक तरीके का protection है, guardrails of governance. So procedural democracy is upholding equality before law, due process and access to justice, separation of powers, and independent judiciary. An example is Keshwanand Bharti case of 1973, which cemented the basic structure doctrine. It is a procedural safeguard. You can't bypass the basic structure doctrine. It is a procedural safeguard against arbitrary power. What is arbitrary power? Tomorrow you want to say that we would like to appoint all the judges to the Supreme Court. No, that's not possible. Tomorrow you say that we want to change the powers which are given to states, or you can say whatever is there is in the union list, or state list, or the concurrent list. We want to change it like that only. No, not possible. There has to be a procedure. My question to you is, can constitutional procedures alone prevent democratic backsliding? क्या सिर्फ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोसीजर से आप लोकतंत्र के गिरते हुए स्तर को या लोकतंत्र के गिरते हुए जो व्यवहार है उसको आप बचा सकते हैं क्या? आप उसे बचा पाएंगे? In Indian context, try to write this answer. Similarly, when we talk about individual rights, they are also the shield of democracy. We have seen this also in context of our previous lessons, that how in the Western world, in the modern times, when it came to enlightenment, then came the ideas of democracy in modern times. So procedural democracy is protecting freedom of speech, assembly, and also association. It is giving legal safeguard against discrimination and detention. Also go and check out fundamental rights in the Constitution. And it is also providing institutional mechanisms for accountability. Can you name one institutional mechanism for accountability? For example, Right to Information Act empowers citizens to question authority. It is a procedural tool but having a great substantive impact. An inquiry can get started, there is a moral impact, there is an ethical impact, and also there is a role of people in actually asking where our fund is going. Now my question to you is that, are rights truly protected if only the privileged can access justice? Are rights truly protected? Don't give answer in right or no, always justify what you are trying to write. Similarly, transparency and accountability is very, very important in context of democracy. The government must operate with openness and integrity. That is possible when it is a fair government, it is a non-corrupt government, it is a government which works for the people, which every government claims. Enable citizen oversight, that is participation of the civil society. Then only you can say there is a citizenship oversight. Support independent media, which is the fourth pillar of democracy. Independent media, fourth pillar of democracy, and civil society. Take examples. So in India, CAG, which is a very important constitutional body, CAG audits public spending. Now this brings procedural transparency in action. CAG reports comes into public. Just Google, which comes into newspapers also. Just Google how CAG report makes a difference. It was 2G scam, or it is whether uh, inefficient spending. For example, what is happening in the National Highway Authority of India, what is happening in context of coal auctions, what is happening in context of, say for example, Rafale. Everything CAG is going to audit. My question to you is, can transparency exist without public awareness or media freedom? Can? If you say no, why not? If you say yes, then why? Similarly, peaceful conflict resolution, that is dialogue over discord. Peaceful. We India believes in the concept of Vasudev Kutumbakam. We have spread the idea of peace. So procedural democracy resolves disputes through dialogue and negotiation, protection of minority rights, respect for pluralism. All these factors are very much seen in the everyday life of the government of India, and also their schemes, programs, and also the functioning. Can you give me some examples? I'll be really happy to see that. So Panchayati Raj, it is fostering local consensus building. But are all voices equally heard at the Panchayat level? That is my question. Secondly, is compromise democratic if it silences dissent? That means if I am saying something which is not agreeable to you, will it be democratic if I'm forced to be, you know, not speak up my ideas? Similarly, when we speak to challenges to procedural democracy, what are the challenges? What are the threat? Voter suppression in one way or another. Can you find certain examples of this? When we speak about voter suppression, think about last couple of years. Electoral fraud. Are there any news on these lines? Do check up, do some research. Influence of money in politics. Is it also there? If it is so, then how it is there? And marginalization through formal fairness. On the paper, everybody is given a chance. On the paper, poor are also given money, but actually they are being marginalized. Is it happening? One example is criminalization of politics. That means you are bringing criminal elements, you are bringing criminal practices into politics. For example, electoral bonds, which was shut down by the Supreme Court. Do check out that case and write a short note. It raises questions about procedural integrity. At times, procedure is there, but then procedure is not actually sufficient to bring justice. My question to you, can flawed processes still yield a legitimate democracy? How you'll justify this? Do write 150 words answer. Similarly, in contrast to procedural democracy is substantive democracy, another type, a democracy that delivers. Why? Because it is focusing on economic and social equality through schemes, through programs, through jobs, and through development. It is talking for protection of rights, better law and order, promotion of values like justice and dignity. That means better governance, better bureaucracy, and also welfare of citizens. That means Viksit Bharat. DPSP, that is a part 4 of the Constitution, it aims for substantive goals like education, health, and equality. You have to mug up and remember all the articles and also what is given in them in DPSP part 4, which is very important for both PT and the mains exam. If the outcomes matters most, I question to you is, should we rethink how we define democracy? In context of India, write this question about 150 words. Now, when we speak about inclusive participation of the masses, it is beyond the ballot. Because civic engagement at all levels, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, or even education for all, health for all, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, or even Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat, and so forth. How there are programs for tribals, how there are programs for Northeast people, how there are tribals for marginalized sections, and participatory mechanisms. What are the mechanisms there? Are they being used properly? Whether it is RTI, whether it is public forums, whether it is democratic debating, whether it is direct speak, you know, of the prime minister with the masses, like Man Ki Baat, or for example, there are hackathons, there are so many type of engagements happening at both the grassroots level, and even Padma awards are also transformed so as to showcase masses and their achievements. Another example is the Forest Right Act of 2006, which empowers tribal communities. But is it really showing substantive inclusion of the tribals and their daily lives are amazing, or are there certain changes to be really made in the states like Chhattisgarh and also Odisha, where we are going to eliminate Naxalism completely, which is a great internal security threat? My question to you is voting enough if voices remain unheard between elections? Do write this question. If voting enough if voices remain unheard between the elections? So when we say human rights and rule of law, which will bring justice for all, so substantive democracy ensures there is civil right, there is civil participation, there is political right, there is a political participation by all masses, there is economic justice, there is economic right, there is economic well-being. And similarly is the case with the social. When you have all groups of people, they are allowed, they are encouraged, they are being asked to get their lives better. And also cultural rights, we have linguistic minorities in this regard. Linguistic minorities are the examples who are given status of preserving their not only language but also their culture. And similarly is the practices with other ideas also. Accountability of state. whether it is center, whether it is the state government, they have the accountability for infrastructure, they have the accountability for education, they have the accountability for health standards, they have accountability for what is happening to each Indian. And people are becoming more and more aware. Non-state actors like NGOs, non-state actors like economic, you can say powerful houses, non-state actors like media. So all these also have a great role to play along with the civil society, and equal access to justice that is also being done. One important point here is Supreme Court's recognition of the privacy as fundamental right in 2017 Puttu Swami case, which reflects substantive democratic values. But my question to you is, can rights be real if they are not accessible? Please do think about this question and try to answer it. Social justice and equality is at the heart of substantive democracy. Social justice. It is not just a term. It is very much integral and core of Indian Constitution, like the idea spread by Honorable Dr. Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. So substantive democracy aims to reduce poverty and discrimination. Is it happening in India? Think about it. Ensure access to education, healthcare and housing. Write the schemes and their names. Empower marginalized community. Think how it is happening in India. Schemes like PMAY, Ayushman Bharat and reservation, they reflect substantive efforts towards equity, okay, towards equity. Very important. So my question to you is, can democracy thrive in a society which is divided by caste and class? Do bring all the understanding till now. Public accountability means government is answerable. Governance must be of such type which is actually reflecting people's desires. So substantive democracy depends upon open and responsive leadership. So do you think Indian political leadership is open, or it is closed, or it is dictatorial? Citizen oversight. Are citizens really participative? Are citizens really mindful and careful about their rights? Are there enough whistleblower protections in India? And decisions are made in public interest. Do think about it. Whether it is air pollution, whether it is climate justice, whether it is jobs, what is happening in India? So Lokpal and Lok Ayukta Act of 2013 was a response to public demand for accountability. Similarly is the case in today's time when we say reforms in GST, or when we say uh, bankruptcy, and also such cases where we are bringing people who are floundering with public finance to justice. My question to you is that, is accountability real if institutions lack teeth? Right, in context of say National Human Rights Commission. Now let's see and try to understand on what we're going to choose. What the dilemma is between the procedural and substantive democracy. So procedural means process, and in the central of process is the law, or you can say policies which is being followed. Legal safeguard are there, so you can't bypass, you can't breach or break it, and there is a formal equality on the paper. That is what procedural democracy is. So in the center of procedural democracy is process, as I just said, and there are legal safeguards, and obviously there is social equity also. On the other hand, in substantive we have outcome, but it may be necessary but not sufficient, because it takes lot and lot of variation in times. And there is a real world access, whether it is to food, whether it is to education, whether it is to healthcare. And social equity is also there. Those who really require it, their life changes. It is not a kind of a dynastic politics in India, like we say, with respect to state and even at the center. So think about it, in which way India is moving and why is it so. You have to write an essay about of 200 words. So challenges to procedural democracy, when we say, if we say the final reflection, democracy that works for a robust, because a robust democracy must blend both procedural and substantive. There must be procedural integrity, which has happened in the last 1 decade in India. There are so many ways. That is why digital governance is being encouraged. Substantive justice is also increasing. Inclusive participation is being reflected. People are becoming more aware, and Indians are becoming more and more mindful. There are so many examples of the same, and accountable governance is also there. So journey from Swaraj to Suraj, it demands both fair processes and just outcomes. So my question to you is, can we build a democracy that's not just by the people but for all people? And how do you think India can become a 5 trillion economy as soon as possible, and by 2047, what is your vision for India? So thank you very much for all these ideas and thoughts. Do revise all the lectures of the previous what you have done and continue with confidence and clarity so as to get success in the goal and contribute to the nation building at the same time.